A quick tip before we start is where we have a building where parts of it come closer than other parts, in this case the veranda comes closer to us, it can be good to draw those closer parts with a heavier, stronger line, or equally we may draw the bits further back, in this case the windows and the door, with a lighter touch, with a lighter finish. This can give the sense of some things being closer and some things being further away. It also helps create separation visually between different parts of the building. I'm starting with the veranda columns. I don't know how far along I want the veranda to go at this stage, so I'm going to put the columns in, trying to space them as accurately as I can. Notice that bottom line was a bit low. It's not a problem when we make a mistake like this, even when we're drawing with ink. Just look at that at the end of the drawing and see if it's a problem at all. It's not. And then I space the columns across, and that will show me where I want the top of the veranda to end. Notice that the center columns are closer together. They're the sorts of details that's really helpful to see. Again, with this line along the top, I don't get it terribly straight, but it doesn't matter because I can have quite a lot of goes at it because it's a fairly thick, dark line at the top of the veranda because there's several bits of wood and gutter in there attached. It's really important not to get hung up on mistakes. So now I just define this bottom bit a little bit better, and then the base of the building. I've got my pen on such an angle that it's a bit hard to get the ink out of it at the moment, so I'm just rearranging the pen in my hand. So I work out where the door is going to sit. At this point I'm thinking, gee, my two veranda poles are close together here. I probably should have drawn this cottage a little bit wider, so I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit narrower than it should be, but that's okay because no one's going to be comparing my drawing with the reference. I want my drawing to look good by itself. So now I've got the veranda top. The sort of mistake it's easy to make here is to put that line I've just drawn too high. It's actually quite close. And the veranda top, as you can see, has a nice curve as it comes down. Again, this is a line that we need to keep nice and close to the one we've already drawn. And it's important to note when things such as roofs overhang the walls that they attach to, and by how much they overhang the walls. And I just realized there are two lines that I don't think I drew in the drawing. The two lines from each end that come back down the side. Never mind. Again, position in the center of the roof, and it's also important, again, not to go too high. That will do for that. Now I'll try and position the windows, and I'm remembering my advice to try and keep the lines a bit lightish. Now I'm also intending to go over the veranda poles a bit more heavily later as well, so that will help create that distinction between closer and a bit further away that I talked about at the start. So now I'm positioning these windows. There's a downpipe there I'm just drawing now. And now I've got these windows to put in. Notice how I go from one window to the other in a straight line. When you want lines to line up horizontally, I find that's a really great way to have that happen. Just go straight across all the windows. If there were 10 windows, I'd have gone straight across the 10 windows with that center line. And now to get the wooden surrounds of the window, I can just thicken these lines a bit. Now I have to space the smaller pieces of timber that hold the panes of glass. doorway. I've decided I'm not going to try and colour or hatch the doorway to make it look darker, because this is a fairly quick, simple drawing. I didn't want it to get too complicated. But I'll just put some marks to indicate the decoration on the doorway, because you certainly can see that easily enough in the drawing. And I will then just put the shadow that we can see behind the glass that's above the doorway. A couple of little air vents in here. Now I've got this lovely little chimney at the top. An angled line, the perspective angle. Pay attention to those. Now this is a corrugated iron roof. It's iron sheets with a lovely ripple effect on it. Very, very common in Australian architecture. Now I'm just going over the veranda supports a little bit to make them a little bit heavier, and the little bit of decoration again. Notice I go all the way across with every line. That just helps all the lines end up looking nice and the same across the front of the house. Now I put some dash lines for grass, and there you go. That line that was in the wrong place, it wasn't worth worrying about, was it? Because it's been nicely disguised, and there's often a way we can disguise our mistakes, because mistakes aren't such a big problem. Now with these stripes on the roof, so I start with the center one and then I move outwards, and they also start to splay towards the left and the right because of the shape, because of the curve of that veranda awning. And so I make sure I do that too. I don't just bring them straight out. And this little line to indicate the shadows on the ripples of the iron. And I'm going to use just extra hatching lines to show the colour of the darker stripes. For a minute I wasn't sure whether I'd coloured in one of the wrong stripes, so I was pretty pleased to work out that no, this is right, because I have done that before. It's easy to do. So I now finish this, and then I haven't got too much to do, but I do want to show some of the lines at least for the corrugated iron on the roof. Now these lines also splay out towards the left and the right, and so I do some guidelines that will get covered up when I do the actual lines, but just to help me get the angle correct so that it is in a nice vertical line in the center, which is what I want, but moving outwards left and right as well. And because this roofing is further back than the veranda roofing, it doesn't have to be as dark or as heavy. And again, I do these little dots just to create the effect of the shadows. And now I'm thinking, well, my time's almost up. I've almost spent 10 minutes on this. So I decided to put these little hedges and a little tree on this right hand side, because look at the effect it has. It really makes that end wooden support stand out, and it also creates a lovely contrast for the side of the building. It really makes the building kind of pop forward and look more like a house, because it's got a bit of yard around it. And I'd also do this on the other side, just putting that hedge in with the shadow on the left side of the pole, and then also in that little bit of space between the pole and the house, also really creates an awareness of exactly what's happening there. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope you found this interesting. If you'd like to have a go drawing this little house yourself, you can find a copy of the photo and print it off from my channel community page and have a go drawing it. But whatever you're drawing, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.